Nikhil bro, we can hear, able to hear you.
Okay, okay, perfect, perfect. So I will just start sharing my screen, and I will try to start with the specific timelines. That way, what will happen is we will be able to take it forward. So just give me a second. So okay, so is my screen visible to everybody?
Yes, Nikhil bro, your screen is visible. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. So about myself, I will just try to keep it very much and brief. Okay. So as you know, this is Nikhil. I am working in Cognizant from 10 plus years. Okay, and I am 14x certified. I am a technical architect over there. And before this, also, I have been part of the J2S mentorship, and I have been recognized twice as the Salesforce Lightning Champion. And currently, I am even doing a lot of sessions, going over to different colleges as a TIC ambassador for their learnings and workshops. So that is pretty much about myself. And just in short, if I can say that I am actually a passionate learner, passionate about Salesforce. I try to keep learning and growing. Okay, it's not that it is just a stop that I have to actually gain 10 plus years, then I will have to stop. So that is how I have just tried to maintain it. So now getting started with the first one. So as we are going to about the winter 20 we have just got the forward looking statements. The forward looking statements is just like an obligation which actually just tries to make sure that we are following all the rules of the Salesforce team. So let's just have those, and then uh, let's understand about this release summary, right? So we all know that within a year in Salesforce we are having three different releases, right? So whenever there is a new release coming in, along with releases we get a lot of new features coming in. So this time if I say that for this winter 25 release we have actually got more than 5 new features which has been actually enhanced and brought in. These are actually in different sectors, different fields. Okay, so even in different domains, even if I talk about the sales cloud domain, if I talk about the service cloud domain, even if I move towards the education cloud, experience cloud, your non-profit cloud, each and every cloud has been given some or the other new features. And now you will be seeing more features even evolving in a better state, because Einstein has been brought in, and Einstein is evolving a lot. Okay, so with that being said, if you see the screen, you will be seeing that you will be able to do a normal release agenda starting right from August itself. So in your August only, we got a particular pre-release org which was available for all the developers, all the teams to have a look on that what all new features we are bringing in. Okay, similarly, the release notes also got released around on 14th of August, and then the new sandbox preview comes. So as we all know, that if you are having a production instance, you will be given the option of taking the preview of the new release on any one of the sandboxes which you want to have as per your own wish. So you can take that specific org, and then within that you will be getting your preview. So once you do that sandbox preview, that particular org will be having some of the release features as per your winter 25 release. Then there was a module which has been also released from Salesforce, which is quite available on Trailheads to tell you all about all of them. And then we have also got the release sites and the release weekend. So how the plan is that in this early September we are already getting the pre-release orgs where we are exploring and looking into the new features, whereas early October, around the second week, you will be actually seeing it going live into the instance in your orgs where you want to go on when you are having your sandbox. And separately, you will be also able to see these releases in your normal sandbox, which gets upgraded, or your developer box, which is getting upgraded to Winter 25. So with that being said, we'll try to move forward, and we'll try to see what are those basics. So when we talk about basics, so the Salesforce basics might be very small features which are coming up, but these small features actually improve the admin productivity a lot. Okay, so by admin productivity, what I mean is, might be earlier you were not having all those features or those features available, and these features might be very small ones to see on the screen, but somehow or the other it is actually saving time for you. Okay, and it is improving your work and navigation. So those are actually part of your Salesforce basics. Okay, so let's dive into them. So what I will be doing is, I will will be talking about a particular feature, and then I will be keeping two instances with me. I will be keeping a dev org which is of the previous release, that is your summer 24, and then we will be having a winter 25 release, and we will try to see the difference what has actually been brought in. Okay, that will actually give you the entire understanding of the new features which has been brought in. So that should be the plan, and I will go with the first basics. Okay, so if you see it, first topic which I will be talking upon is user access summary. So what is user access summary? So till now, what happens is that you used to you go on your user detail page, right? And if you go on your user detail page, you go to the summary section of your user detail page, you will be able to see what all permissions you have. Might be it is created by permission, might be it is a permission for author apex, might be a permission for some of the other objects which you are provided. Okay, so now if those list of user permissions have been assigned to, and just consider that you have got more than hundreds of permission being assigned, right? So now you will not be able to justify which people actually given you this particular permission, right? So sometimes we need to know that how does this new permission even gets added to me. So how do I even get this new permission? Who actually gave me this permission that I am able to visualize this? So for doing that, what Salesforce has brought in is they have actually given you the option of access granted by. So when we talk about access granted by, this will be actually available for any of the profiles or the permission sets, where you will be seeing the section. It will be telling you who has given it. Okay, what is the license behind it? So let's try to see that live in the org itself. So I have actually kept a basic sandbox org. This is a basic sandbox org, if you see, which is with the winter 25. Okay, and I have also kept a old org. This is actually with the summer 24 release. Okay, so now what we will be doing is, suppose I want to go into the specific user. So let's try to go into the specific users. I will go into my old org, and I will try to go into my users, right? So I go to my users, and when I go to my users list, I can click on a particular user, and I can do view summary. When I go on view summary was even before, even early, but it was not showing you all the permissions, who actually granted it, and its descriptions, right? So right now, if you see the list of permissions which has been assigned to, so now if I want to know who has given me these permissions, this is not possible in your this org. In this org, you are not able to see it. This old org doesn't support it. Now if I go into my new org and I try the same, if I go into my New York, I will try to go to my use list, and in my users list, I will go to a specific user. So let me go to this specific user. I will go to view summary, and if you see, now I have got a separate action being available to me called as access granted by. Now when you click upon this access granted by, this will actually give the permission sets, the permission set groups, and the profiles related by details, and it will also tell you that what are the access activities which have been provided to you. So the reason for providing this was, many times people used to say that we don't know who has given us this permissions, and what are the permissions being granted to me with that. So I can do that now by quickly using this user access summary section, where I will be having this action button available. This is the first of the features which comes in, and I will start moving towards the next one. So let's go to the next one, and you will be seeing an enhanced user list view with inline edit. Now what this actually is, this is actually a very productive feature if I talk about, because just think from this perspective, I have got several list views available in my objects, right? So for all those list views, I have my inline edits available, but whenever I go into my user object or my user list view, I was never able to see a rich view where I can easily customize it, or whether I can perform my inline edits. Okay, so now If I don't have that feature, the problem is I will have to navigate to the specific user, edit it, and make the changes. Else, now going forward with Winter 25, what we will be able to see is we will be able to edit the records even from the inline editing right on the user's list system. So now what that actually does is, now this actually brings you an extra feature that you can edit up to your 100 to 200 users who are there in the list view by directly using the inline edit feature. This was not possible until now, and this used to be a lot of complaint for everyone, that if I have to edit a particular user, I will have to go to that specific user, click on the edit button, and then make the changes. Now with the enhanced list view, we will be having this new feature which will allow you to do this inline edit. Let's see this feature as well. So now I will try to again go to my old org. Let's go here, and let me again go to my users list. So if I come over to the users list, I have got a list view, but I can't edit it from anywhere. I don't have that option. So suppose I have to add some details about myself. How will I do that? I will have to either click on this edit button, either I will have to click on this particular record, navigate into the record, and then click on the edit button and make the changes. But now when I come over to my this new view of Winter 25, let's go again to the users list view. So now if you see, my list view has completely enhanced. It has now given you the option to even create a user from this page itself. Along with that, it also allows you inline editing. So for example, I want to make some changes, that instead of Mr., I just want to say is as architect, and I also want to enter some. So if I just that, and if I just drag down, you will be seeing this save button available. So I can directly save my record. So my data record saving feature got enhanced by just using this particular feature now. So now I can easily edit all my records in my list view by quickly changing the data view from here itself, right? So now this list view is quite effective for me, right? So I can actually go into my new user from here itself. I can even quickly edit my email. I can even edit my name, I can edit my title, or whatever the fields I want to. So these fields, as we all know, are actually our part of our list views. We can edit those fields which we basically need as a part of our view, and we can edit them. So this is the second best feature which I actually found quite interesting when I talk about the users list view. Now let's actually talk about the third view which is coming forward. So now if I go to understand the object access summary. Now let's think about this particular use case. Okay, so this particular use case is a very interesting one. We have got a field level security button available over every field, which actually tells us how the fields have been given access to. Or if you actually go into your object, you will have to go back to your profile to understand what kind of access levels have been given upon. I cannot directly see that quickly. So to understand my CRUD level permissions, that whether I have got a create permission, whether I have got a read or a update or a delete permission, I will have to navigate to my profiles, my permission sets, and understand what kind of access has been given. But now that was an extra click, and users used to sometimes get frustrated if they have lot of different profiles being assigned to them, right? So now they will have to go into those particular profiles. The admin has to understand by going through those profiles, right? So for example, I have got 5 different profiles to study upon. Going into each of the profile, understanding the object level settings, seeing what level of permissions has been given. Now, or even if you go into the specific field, go into the field level security. Now what we have done is we have now got a new feature itself added on the object manager in your lightning experience, which is actually called as your object access. So when you actually go over this object access section, this will actually give you the entire list of CRUD permissions available. Okay, so what it will do is now it will prevent you to go into several profiles, navigate to them, understand what level of permissions have been given, or even navigate to the permission sets or going into the field level security. All those will not be needed anymore. So we can quickly do that with the help of this object access button. So now let's see that. Now if I want to see that in action, so let's go to the old org. I go to my object manager, right? So in my object manager, I come down. I don't have any such options available. If you see, I will be having my actions or validation rules, scoping rules, list views, search layouts, or different options are available, but I cannot actually check all the things together. For any specific field, I will go to the specific field and check its details. Right now with Winter 25, what happens is, if I go to my object manager, I go to the specific object. Let's see what all things have been added here. So if I go here, if you see, a new tab gets added called as object access. When I click upon this, what happens? Let's see. So see, what are the permission sets allocated to you? What is the read access, create access, edit access? These all details are actually mentioned over here. Even if you go to the profile, so it will tell you what profiles you are a part of and what is the level of access given to you for this particular your particular object in the object manager. So now what happens? Now this actually helps you to segregate your object level permissions quite easily. This will actually help you to make your things productive rather than going into every time to the profile and understand it. So before I just go on into the next one, do you all have any questions so far? So I will try to have a pause whenever possible so that everybody can actually ask questions. So any questions you all have?
Nikhil bro, still now there is no questions. You can continue.
Okay, perfect. So now I will keep continuing. I will move to the next one. Okay. So I will start going into the next portion of it. So we will be having the next one as, this is a very small feature, but again this feature is very productive because I have actually experienced this a lot of times when I have actually worked with my my public groups. Okay, so public groups were always a pain. The reason behind them was that I cannot actually add the users quickly and remove them. I will have to specifically go into the public group and make the changes. I will have to go to the specific group, edit it, go inside it, and then select the users whom I want to add upon. I didn't have a very quick access to work upon it. Sometimes it used to be frustrating when I used to have lot of data, lot of users, and I have to go search for those users and add them individually. So now what has happened is, now Salesforce has brought in a new feature. What they have done is, you can quickly add or remove members from the public groups view itself. So the public groups view earlier never used to have this feature, but now when you want to actually just add or remove your members quickly, that kind of feature was not available earlier. So with this actually improves my my way of adding users. Let's see this in the org to understand it better. So if I go into my org, okay, so I will come over to my org as the old org which I was talking of. So let's go to the home and I will try to go into my public groups. So let's see the public groups, how they are. So I have got a basic public group over here. If I go over this public group, okay, I have got the details, okay, and I have got the users. If I say view all users, I will have to edit, and then I will have to search for the specific users from here based on the roles or the role and subordinates or users, and then I will be adding the users accordingly to this group, right? But now this has been actually improved. What we have done is, now we come up with a new solution over here. So let's go into this org, make it reset, go to public groups. So now if I try to create a public group, one new other feature you will be also seeing is, I have got the description field available. Now this description field basically doesn't looks like a very important field if you are working with your small companies or small organizations where you are having less number of users. But consider a particular organization where you have got large number of developers working together, and over the course of time, you ended a lot of different public groups. Okay, different user stories. So you got 10 different user stories, you created 10 different public groups. Now how do I understand that which public group does this belong to? I can use the description field also to just determine that. So I actually follow that as a best practices. Whenever you are working with your objects, fields, or if you are working with a user story, it is always good that I use the description field as much as possible, because that will actually enable me or other users to quickly navigate to the user story before making any change to that particular one. So this particular design gets added. Let's try to give a name to this public group, and I will try to have some users, and say I take one user as of now, and I just try to save it. So what it say that it has to have underscores. So let's give those underscores, and then I will just do a save. Now if I go into this public group, go to my summary, what I will see is, along with these two things, I will be also be able to play around with them. So I can actually quickly go to my list views. I can check the criteria based sections, owner based sections, as well as I can even make changes. So let's go to the public group over here, go to it, and has this been again? So if I come over here, so let's try to see this. 1 second. I think there has been, I made some changes. Give me a second now. Just give me a second. I will just make that change. 1 minute. Somehow some changes has happened for my org. Wait a minute. So I can quickly check my access levels also for whatever object I have. Along with that, I can also add as many users as I want to this public group by quickly go action. Let me just happened here. Let's see. Hmm, might be, since it is a basic org, sometimes few things don't work as expected. So give me a second. Let us try to see if I can get those. So basically what happens now, that if you are actually going into your public group, and if you are even going into your view summaries, okay, a new section gets added over here, okay, called for your user members to be added. If you see this, I have kept a screenshot for that. What happens there is, you will be able to go there and add all those users. I am not able to see that from the public. Wait a second, let me try to check what happened. Might be. I think I will have to just recheck what happened over here. We have an option in the view summary section where you can add as many records as you want to. Okay, that actually enables you or helps you to add or remove your users quite comfortably from the public group itself. Okay, so I will start moving forward, and then during the break I will try to check what happened during this. I will try to have a look at that. So now let's move on to another interesting feature from here, which is also called as the add remove grow. I was just saying about this particular screen, which actually comes in as a part of your all public group member. Okay, so what happens is it will allow you to add and remove members quickly. So you will be having an enhanced list view, and in this enhanced list view you will be able to select your users and you can add them as a member to this particular group directly. Okay, so this will allow you to add users or public groups, roles, internal subordinates, all the users together, territories, any users who are belonging to the specific group will be visible as a part of your list view, and you can easily select them and add them to a part to your specific public group. That is how this particular one works. Now the use of this becomes very helpful when you are having large number of users to add and remove. Moving forward, I will try to go into Sales Cloud Go. Now before I move Sales Cloud Go, let's understand that what is the Sales Cloud. So as I have talked earlier also, and we might be already aware of, Sales Cloud is the sales process which is directly available from Salesforce, but we didn't have a proper process to set it up. Okay, we had the sales features but we didn't have a proper setup along it. So now Salesforce has introduced this new feature called as Sales Cloud Go, which will allow you to set up your sales process easily, similar to your service setup. So we had got the service setup available even in our previous releases, but we didn't have anything for Sales Cloud. For example, I want to set up a sales process right from the beginning till the end, with your basic streamlined processes like your Einstein to be there, Einstein summaries, email setup, which users to use. If I want to have that kind of particular setup and a screen available, that is where Salesforce brings in Sales Cloud Go. So now in your setup of your new orgs, you will be seeing when you click on that a particular button saying as set up Sales Cloud. So whenever you are having set up Sales Cloud, it will actually take you to a screen which will be something like this, where what you will be able to do is you can actually set up everything. Okay, so you based on the kind of licenses which you have. So understand that if you are just working with your customer outreaches, or if you are working with your leads, or if you are having any prospects based communications or any forecasting, all those things will be directly available for you directly as a part of your Sales Cloud. Now if you want to set up your Einstein captivity Einstein activity capture, if I am actually talking about the Einstein activity capture, I can directly set it up using the Einstein license available. So how does this work? So what I will have to do is I will have to just go into my org. Okay, so now let's say this is a particular org which is available. I will try to refresh this org one more time, and I will click here. So you see there is a sales setup button which is available. This is basically your sales process setup. If I click on this, this will actually take you to a screen called as Sales Cloud Go. So what Sales Cloud Go is, so this is a developer org, so you can see only few of the features available. Okay, as a part of your features as a part of this developer org. Okay, that for example your customer outreaches, forecasting, customer relationships, or if you want to do a deal tracking, or if you want to use AI. So all these have been given to you. Okay, so if you go inside them, they will be having different kind of features available. For example, you will be having the Einstein activity cap, you will be having Einstein Copilot. So Einstein Copilot is quite famous. I hope already you might have done some of the modules so far based on the Einstein modules and the buzz which is there around Salesforce. Similar to that, you will be having Einstein sales email. So now using your Einstein predictions, you can even write down quick emails. These emails will be based on your prompts which you are creating from your Einstein, and they can actually allow you to send emails effectively. Similarly, your conversation insights can be also done. Similarly, you have option of handling your call summaries and call explorer as well. So for all of them, you will have to turn them on as a part of your license. So right now in this org, you will be having only few of the features available. So I showed one of them. This is basically with your AI section. Okay, when I talk about the rest, so for example, if I have got the forecasting with confidence, if I go inside it, it will ask me what all changes I need to add. Do I need a manager judgment or a collaborative forecast, or if I want to do Einstein based forecasting? Again, I want to use the Einstein generative AI. So the Einstein generative AI will be basically available as a part of your Einstein licenses, where you will be going into your Einstein setup and turning it on. After that, all these Einstein based features starts working. Similar to that, you will be having other features added, like for example, how to keep your deals on track. For that also, there has been different features which have been available for you, which you can use in, for example, the pipeline inspection or your opportunity scoring. So we have got something like lead scoring already available, and now with your opportunity scoring also, you will be able to do scores over your opportunity records, which actually helps you to understand which opportunities are better for your particular deal, right? So these all features comes in as a part of this direct particular button available of your setup to do the sales setup available. Now again, if I start moving forward, I will come over to dynamic highlights panel. So before I start about dynamic highlights panel, so anybody has any questions, anybody wants to use anything? Anybody wants to ask any question, any pointers before I start moving? No
Nikhil bro,
questions?
there is no questions. You can continue.
Okay,
Thank you.
perfect. So I will start continuing again. So I will now go back into my next one. Okay, that is like the dynamic highlights panel. So now dynamic highlights panel is a new addition, dynamic form. So even before I discuss about dynamic highlights panel, I hope you all might have used the dynamic forms. Can anybody just tell me what dynamic forms are? Anybody who is interested to tell about that? What is a dynamic highlight panel, or leave our dynamic highlight panel, at least if anybody can tell me what is a dynamic form. What is a dynamic form? No one used it. Okay, let's think in this way, that you have got hundreds of different page layouts available. Okay, now the problem with your yes, lightning page, then we had already got your lightning pages, right? So we had got a lightning record pages already available. Then why dynamic forms? Then why dynamic forms? We had page layouts, we upgraded to lightning record pages. So now we had the lightning record pages already available. So for fields, more info details. Yes, they are actually adding more details, or you can say they are actually adding the right details at the right time, or even you can say it like, for example, let me talk of a very basic feature. Okay, so right now if I go into my org, okay, I go into my org, and I go into some of the records. This is my old org only. I am available in my old org as of now. So let's go to the accounts. Okay, so if I go to the accounts, I go to a particular record. Okay, so now here I go in, I try to, I what I want is, I want to do a conditional display of these two fields based on my account number. or based on my type. So I have got a type pick list, right? So let's say I have got the type pick list available. So I want to say that whenever my value is prospect, then display me the phone and facts, or the rating and phone, or I want to just uh, whenever the value is something else, for example technology partner, at that time these two fields are visible. So now how will I achieve this with this particular layout? If I have, or even if I have a record page, the pain point will be that I will either have to override this page with my own page, right? Or I will have to write down a custom code, because lightning record pages or your page layouts were not that much customizable. So if you see this, for example, I go over to my setup and I go to my my basic page layouts only. So let's go to the account object again. I'm going to the page layouts. This is my page layout available. So now in this page layout, I come down, and what I want to do is I want to add some fields or remove it. So can I add conditions over here? I can drag and remove the fields from the page layouts, but I cannot make it conditionally working, because these were not available directly. Now the pain point for the users were that I cannot handle those pages directly. So I will have to either write down a custom LWC, or I will have to use the standard components, override it with my own custom solutions, whatever the custom solution might be I keep a formula field, might be I create out some page layout separately, or I create out a particular component which is overwritten. So now this was a pain point for the users. So that is where we got introduced to dynamic forms. What dynamic forms says is, you don't need to write code for each and everything. At least for your basic visibilities, basic conditions visibilities, you can directly use our forms with the conditions available. So let's see how it looks like. So for example, I again go back to my page. So this is my account record, and I want to upgrade it. So when I upgrade, I will have to do edit page. When you do an edit page, this is where it will ask you whether you want to upgrade it or not. Okay, so you will get that option. And if you have already done that, it will say no need. So let's see this. So if you see, my entire section can be removed, but I cannot play with them conditionally. So now that is where dynamic forms came into picture. So what dynamic forms brought in is made your page completely dynamic. So how it happens? So let's see, I upgrade it. As soon as I do upgrade, it will ask me that do you want to create the sections, arrange the fields, and show and hide sections, everything available. And they ask you next, they say whether you want to change your page layout or you want to migrate it in a different accordion component. So we will we will not check this. We don't want to migrate in that way. Let's take the standard layout itself, and it will just convert that standard layout into your dynamic form. So when I click on this, now what happens? Let's see. As soon as it got upgraded, your entire section of the page became conditional, right? So now, by conditional, what I mean is I can play around with these fields now, right? So I can easily drag and drop my fields. So for example, if I'm seeing the layout is not having the fields properly here, I can add it, and I can make it more flexible. I want to add, I want to drag and drop something else, I can use and keep it here. So what happens now, your sections and your page becomes quite dynamic with the help of dynamic forms. Another extra feature which your dynamic forms brings in is, okay, it will allow you to make your fields conditional. So for example, I want to make this phone field conditional. So let's zoom in. I don't know whether your screen is properly visible to you all or not. So see, oh, okay, if I do this, okay. So if you see my screen now, so if I go into that specific field, I have got this arrow. This arrow is basically an indicator that I have got some visibilities. So what I can do is I can just click on add filter. I can take what kind of filter I want to apply. For example, let's say I go for account active. If I say my field will be visible account is active, whenever my account is active, then only turn my field available there on the layout. I put that condition. The second one also, I add another filter for this as well. And again, here also I'm just putting active, and whenever the active value is equal to yes, right? So where the value is yes, then only these two fields will be visible. And when I click on save, what it will do is it will ask you to activate. So now your page gets activated. I will assign it to org default for now. You can do all your assignments based on your need. And then when you do next and you save, the magic starts from here. So let's see the page now. So now what I made, whenever the account is active, then only these two fields will be available to me on the layout. So let's see this. So now I will go to my details. I will search for the active. So I have got an active field. My active field doesn't have a value as of now. Let me check for a specific value. Let's take it as no, or let's take it as yes. And then I do save. So you see the phone and the fax fields automatically got available on the page condition. So this was actually a feature which was launched just in the last release with dynamic forms coming into picture. But now dynamic forms are becoming even more flexible. So now even what you can do is you can actually have new more features being added into it. So now it was an old org where we saw it. So I got the details available. I can sections conditional. So for example, I can even, if I want to go over a particular section to make it conditionally visible, I can even do that. I can now, but I didn't have some extra features. So if you see this one, this highlights panel, which was provided from Salesforce from before, was actually not a very good one. It didn't have the flexibility to play around with the fields. You will have to come in over to this section and make the changes. So now, if you go to the field section, you will not be able to see anything for this particular section separately. But with the winter release, what we have got is, we have now got this specific feature coming into picture. So for example, let me go into this contact record. I go into its record, right? So I will have to go into a specific record and I will do edge. So as soon as I do edit page, it will take me to Lightning App Builder and it will show me how my page is. So let me see how the details are. So right now I have not upgraded it, right? So I have not got an upgrade. So if I upgrade it, do next, take it for the contact layout, finish it. Now my page becomes this way. It becomes dynamic, and in the fields you get a new section called as the dynamic highlights panel. Now this dynamic highlights panel is very flexible. You see what happens next. As soon as you introduce the dynamic highlights panel, okay, it will be having the name and you can add as many important fields which you want to. So for example, the assistant phone, I want to add the birth date, I want to have the assistant phone, I want to have the contact owner, whichever are highlighted fields for me. And what I want to do is I want to make these section as flexible as myself. I want to play with them also conditionally. So for this particular field, I want to add some filters. So I can even make this section even more dynamic with the help of this dynamic highlights panel. This dynamic highlights panel will allow me to play with everything. So for example, even if I want to go with some buttons, right? So if I want to go with some custom buttons, I can drag and drop my custom buttons. Even if I am as a part of my field section and I want to actually go for a blank space to be created, a field section to be created, or some actions to be added, I can do everything. I can even do an action being added from here. So for example, I want to have change owner here, and I want to have a filter. For example, let's say that based on a specific profile, I want to make my page visible. Okay, so I want to have this button only visible for a specific profile, but for the other one I don't want to. So what I can do is I can click on this and I can take the advanced one, from where it will take you a screen like this, which allows you to take it similar to your process builders, where you can go into your user, you can go into your permissions, and based on the permission also you can check any permissions are given to you or not, or if you have got the record based any conditions you want to add or not, or device based, user based. I can go for everything. Okay, I can go to the profile and I can specifically take the specific profile name, and then based on the specific profile name I want to make it conditional. I can do all of these in this dynamic panel with the introduction of your interesting part of dynamic highlights panel being released. So this is some of the interesting features which has came in from this particular page. So you got interacted with your dynamic forms, and then you got interacted with your dynamic highlights panel. So this becomes very useful for me in my project as well. So I will tell you a live scenario. In my project, what is happening is I am having more than 50 different page layouts which are being used for the domain. Okay, now these 50 page layouts, whenever I have to make some change, I have to go into all those different profiles, page layouts, specific page layouts, make the changes and deploy them. Right, so now that becomes very difficult for me to handle. So that is where my forms will actually help me to reduce that viewing and deployment to all those lightning your page layouts or your lightning record pages. Instead, what I can do is I can directly play around with my dynamic forms and dynamic highlights panel to make it very much flexible. So clear so far? Any questions from anybody? So even if you see on the screen, I have just taken an exact page that you will be able to add any kind of conditions, any kind of visibility actions based on device, based on user profile permissions, based on specific conditions. You can even hide the dynamic panel. You can even highlight sections. Everything can be hidden or displayed based on the certain criteria available. Now, what does this add to me? This actually adds to me a lot of flexibility for not going for custom code all the time, right? So me being a hardcore developer, I always love to move towards code anytime whenever I get a chance to. Okay, so now this is one of the sections where Salesforce shows that even without writing the code you can achieve this. Okay, so anybody, even being an architect, whenever somebody asks me, my first question or my always point has been that why not customization? So if a company has got a low code no code approach, at that time the dynamic highlights panel and the dynamic forms adds a lot of flexibility to your pages. I will take a pause over here and I will start moving after that after a few minutes. So before that, if you all have any questions. So I see one question from Surya. Can we get these uh, admin feature list document on a direct URL? Yes, you will be getting it. Okay, so there is actually even if you go to your Trailhead, there is a link already provided which has came up with the winter 25 release. It has got 7 different small modules which tells you what all new things have been added into your Salesforce section as a part of your admin, developer, everything. So for the admin, they have created a separate module altogether which has 7 small modules. I will be sharing the link at the end of the session. Any other questions? So today's recording session, I think Peter will be helping with that. He will be actually adding it, I think, to his YouTube channel once the session gets over. So he will be adding it as a part of his uh, group or your YouTube channel, I guess. Already mentioned about that. Okay. So in the dynamic form, do we have anything such as fields appear only while creation? No. It will not be there like that. Okay, it will be like available on the screen. Make it flexible with the fields which you already have. Okay, so conditionally displaying the fields. Fields can be conditionally available in runtime. So, for example, if my even if you are on the page, if you are just turning the checkbox as active as true, you will be seeing the fields getting displayed or removed. But for the sections which are there, separate sections, those actually come as a part of after you save the record. Those actually don't appear quickly. They actually appear once you save the record. Clear so far? Any other questions? Okay, I will just take a pause of 1 minute and then we'll start. So just waiting for everybody. Just everybody is fine. I will just start taking it from the next screen onwards. So I whatever the features what I found useful, I have actually brought them over here. Okay, because these are some of the very much useful features which adds productivity to your org. Okay, as a part of the release, there are more than 500 release features which has came in, as I already told. So you can actually see all of those 515 features as a part of your release notes. The release notes is quite vast. Okay, it has actually mentioned about all of them. You can refer them as a part of your business use case. For example, if you are a part of the experience cloud, or if you are a part of the non-profit cloud, or the education cloud, so these all features based on them have been actually added to the release notes or even in your trailheads. Okay, I have brought in whatever is actually best possible from the generic level for your flows, dynamic highlights panel, or the page layouts, or whatever adds productivity to your public groups users. I have brought those in. Okay, I will start moving now. Okay, so since I don't see any other questions as of now, so I will start moving. So again, continuing with the same. So let's think of another use case after this. Once the dynamic highlights panel is done, this is one of the most interesting features which was actually asked from a lot of users, especially in US and Canada, because this is something like your sentiments. Okay, so you can actually say like an emotional sentiment related to your records. Okay, how it is useful, or what I am actually talking of is, you might have been doing this right from before also in many of your organizations, where you might be having feedbacks for which you add a happy face, a sad face, or a feedback based color. Based on those colors and charts, you display their sentiments, right? So for that, what we used to do, we used to generate a formula field, we used to use another field, and then using those couple of fields, we used to write our logic based upon which the feedback used to show up. So this was actually a little bit painful for the users to use in, and there were a lot of users who buzzed about it in the idea exchange, and that is where Salesforce came up with this new feature called as conditional highlighting. So what conditional highlighting basically means is, conditional highlighting allows you to basically add your sentiments onto the screen quite effectively. Okay, by adding sentiments, what I mean is, as soon as my opportunity closes, or as soon as I am getting my opportunity stage to closed one or one, I should have some emojis. I should have, because we are now a part of this these kind of prompts which we are going on conversations, where we are very happy, we see our excitements, right? So similarly, business also likes to have its excitement available, and that is where conditional highlighting has been brought in. Now unfortunately, even in your release org, I have not found it, and I have already raised it as a case to the Salesforce. But I will actually tell you how it exactly looks like. Okay, I actually followed its entire preview documentation, and you can actually see it here. So I am taking an example over here. For example, if you see this field, this is the club details. Okay, so for example, this is basically for your cases, and you are a part of an organization which has got different clubs, okay, or different memberships, okay, similar to what we do in our Netflix, or what we do in our Amazon Primes. We have different type of memberships. Similarly, this case record also has got a different kind of membership. It can be either silver, it can be either gold, it can be either bronze. Okay, so based on the kind of stage which you have, based on the kind of status you have, you can easily write down sentiments for the users without writing down formula fields or adding any other conditions or writing custom logic. Okay, let's see how. So what happens is, when you to your page, okay, this section, this will be a new section which will get added as a part of your conditional highlighting. Okay, so this only is available for your dynamic forms. Okay, just take it as a note that this is only available for your dynamic forms, not for your page layouts or your lightning record pages. So what it actually allows you is, whenever you will be clicking on this particular conditional formatting section, it will allow you to select rule sets. Okay, now what are rule sets? Rule sets are basic criterias which I can write, based upon which my changes will be done. Okay, so now I can add up to 10 different rules to my one single rule set. Okay, so let's see this, how they look like. So let's see this. When I go in over here, you see these kind of emojis. So whenever you will be clicking on that edit rule set in the previous one, for example, you have got set, or you will, when you will be getting an option of create rule set. So either you as a edit, or either you go on create. What will happen is, it will take you to a particular screen which will allow you to select some emojis which is already available, add you some colors, and then when you click next, okay, and then you will be having some specific rule sets. So what is this? So I am having three different rules over here. If I will have an happy face if my membership is gold. Okay, my special club's value is gold. I will show a particular orange happy face. If my special club field value is equal to silver, so this is a drop down which we have used, and if it is a neutral one. So for everyone, I have added three different icons. So as I told, we can have up to 10 different rules added into a particular rule set. Okay, so I will add all my rule sets. Okay, and then in these rule sets, I can actually play around with my data. What will happen is, automatically I will go on my dynamic forms, click on the specific field, click on conditional highlights, and then I will take the specific rule set, add the special conditions, add the emojis, and then when I save, automatically my conditional formatting gets available, which will allow you to show your features like this, as we were seeing here. It will actually allow you to show your entire club membership based on an emoji, rather than having a particular value over here. So this actually is very useful for people who are actually working with business projects, and they love to actually show excitement of the things happening, and they have different emojis to express themselves. So those emojis can be actually brought in as a sentiment to the business. Okay, so we actually do it in a lot of projects. Right now we are using formula fields, uh, creating images, loading those images, static resources, and then calling it over onto the screen. But now with your conditional formatting, we get rid of this particular part. So now we can directly use the conditional formatting from winter 24-25, which will allow you to add this specific feature. So this makes it interesting. Now, these were some of the features which I actually found quite interesting from the part of your basic use of your Salesforce. Okay, so where we actually go in into your pages, either your user detail, your page layouts, or even if you are working with conditional formatting. Apart from that, the flows has been actually upgraded a lot. Okay, so what has happened with flows is, flows has now brought in a way for you to actually improvise your way of working with flows. So those who have started working for on flows from quite long time back, they might have seen the pain of flows where you don't have the option to error it out quickly, get the screen falters and bring over for the debugging purposes, right? So it was always a pain for the users to work with flows in the beginning phases. Then it got evolved, you got new features being added to, okay, now you are able to at least debug it well, but still there are evaluations happening. So I will talk about those evaluations which are coming up as a part of winter 25. Okay, so what I will do is I will bring the first one. So if you see this particular icon, this particular icon has been now added as a part of your flow validation experience. This is also called as the flow validation, which will actually allow you to understand what kind of errors and warnings are coming in. Okay, so rather than actually facing any issues later on and looking and debugging for the errors, okay, now you have got this validation section directly available as a part of your flow. What will happen is any kind of issues which is happening, any kind of warnings which are to be there when you are going to save on the flow, those things can be actually easily seen as a part of your screen itself. Let's see it live. So let's first go into the old org. What I will do is I will try to first of all increase the size, come over to flows, and if I click on new flow, I take start from scratch as of now. I take a record for record flow, for example. If you see, I have got select elements, I have got redo, undo, and I have got the settings option available. But with my new org, what has happened is, let's go to flows and see that. So I again follow the same steps. I go into my flow builder. I try to go from scratch again, take a record triggered flow and do next. You will see this validation has already been added upon. This is basically for any kind of errors, any kind of warnings, which is going to happen as a part of your flow experience. So now this validation will be very much fruitful for us to understand our errors as a part of our flow itself. So now anytime when you are working with flows, you don't need to add your flow connectors, or don't you need to debug everything. Some of the errors automatically will be listed as a part of this validation section directly. So this actually improves your productivity again against flows, and many people still actually find a little bit difficult to work with flows. Okay, and sometimes I have seen a lot of people even in my company where they actually say that working with flows has been a pain. So I think now with this validations coming into picture and the evaluations which they are bringing up with Einstein, flows will easily become up a very new and an extensive feature for them. They will love to use it. So this is one of the features which I saw. The other feature which I also saw is the undo, redo, and save as. This was actually available even in the previous release, but your keyboard options didn't used to work. So for example, I used to have my redo button, undo button, and my save as button. But now if I want, I can quickly save my records, okay, or save my flow using my keyboard shortcuts as well. So even if I have added a particular element and I am good at keyboard typing, okay, I can directly do in a Windows system, I will just do Control Z, whereas in my Windows in my Mac I will be doing Command Z. Similarly for redo and similarly for save as. So instead of the shift control which I actually do for save as, I can directly do as Command and S. That will actually allow me to save my flow. So now what happens is, now easily I can actually, if I am not interested to go into the buttons by navigating from the mouse, if I am good at my keyboard features, I can quickly do redos, add and create versions of my flow by quickly saving them. That is also one of the additional features which comes in. This is also a kind of admin productivity when you are working with flows. The next one which actually comes up, this is very, very interesting. This is interesting. I will tell you the use case. So I particularly feel, many people feel it very painful to create a formula. Okay, so creating a formula at times when you are having very complex logic, you have to navigate from multiple objects, get the validation done, and which function basically helps you out to do it, that is very painful for people, right? So in that kind of scenarios, now your Einstein edition has came up with another work. Okay, it has said that you can build your formula by using natural prompts. By natural prompts, what I mean is I will just write down the business use case and it will create the formula for me. Okay, now this, why this becomes very useful is, as we all know, as I told, that sometimes people don't find it very productive to create the formula manually, understanding the functions. So now even if a business analyst comes into picture, okay, and a business analyst has to quickly demo something, he will not be understanding the functions of the flow formula editor anymore. He can directly use the natural prompts, just add his prompt, and based on that a formula comes in. Okay, let's see that live, but I don't have that license, but I will be showing you that section which you will be able to see, which was not there earlier. So for example, this is the old org. I go for example on the account object itself, and I scroll down, and I take formula evaluates to true. So it will say which resource you want to go for, what are the functions available, insert that particular function and add the values. But now what has happened is, with the new one, let's see what happens. I add the object, I take my conditions, I go to condition requirements, formula evaluates to true. So now you will see it says a beta being added to the screen. What it says, formulas created by Einstein using generative AI can be also done. Okay, and you will the generative AI, since this winter 25 org doesn't have the generative AI available, so that is the reason I am not able to show you this prompts. Else what will happen is you will pass in the prompt and it will create the formula for you. So it becomes very easy for the user to create out a formula rather than now waiting and understanding each and every functions of it, right? So definitely this will have some different downgrades as well and some upgrades as well. So as I was saying of the generative AI, you will be able to handle quick formulas, simple formulas well. But if it is a very very complex formula, the natural prompt has to be very very accurate, right? So as we have seen how your chat GPT works, or even if you are seeing any chat GPT or any other models, they basically look for exact prompts. That is how your LLM has to work over here as well. Your natural prompts need to actually upgrade themselves, the sensitivity of your models, the generative models. For example, if I am using the chat GPT 4 model, or I am actually using a turbo chat based model, so those models need to be upgraded and their sensitivity needs to be reduced so that the model actually brings in more accurate results. And then that basic template is available, you can work along with it, you can make the changes further. But yes, that actually adds lot of benefits to the users to create out flows simply, right? So this is one of the very interesting features coming up as a part of your Einstein release. Moving forward, this is one thing which I actually saw. Okay, and this actually adds a lot of buzz around. But this is something like, whenever I talk about that flows, as I was saying, many people are struggling with flows, understanding the flows, creating the flows in case of your logics. And what they find comfortable is, so I had a recent survey with my team, okay, where I was actually asking a question that how do you find flows. Okay, and their answer was, rather than writing a flow in any complex scenario, I am okay to quickly build out a trigger which solves my purpose. Okay, now this actually happens for developers, hardcore developers who are actually quite good with their oops concepts and all. They will quickly write down the flow, the trigger concepts and all. But what about the people who are going with low code no code approach? They have to understand flow, their functions, their syntax and everything. Now Salesforce says with the Einstein edition, you will be able to generate your quick flows for at least for your basic templates. For example, if I say whenever my opportunity stage is equal to 1, send an email to my owner. So what will it will do is it will quickly create a flow for me and make it available on the screen using the natural prompts itself. So if you see, this is the new feature which will be added. Let Einstein help you build. So when you will click on this, it will just ask you for the prompt, what you need in your prompt. Whatever you enter, based on that it will create out your flow. This flows can be simple, this can be extensive as well, but what I feel is extensive ones will be requiring lot of trainings and lot of LLM modifications. But any kind of simple flows where you have got 5 to 6 different simple custom elements being included upon, Einstein is going to create the flow for you instead of you building it alone, right? So that also improves the productivity of the admins a lot, and that will actually add lot of you can say productivity improvement for basic flows. So anybody who comes in, even a fresher comes in into a company and he is using the Einstein feature, he can quickly use the Einstein feature to bring out the basic template ready and then work upon them. Okay, so now this is actually an additional benefit of the Einstein license which comes in separately. Moving forward, I will be talking about guardrails. Now, what is guardrails? I actually say it as guardrails because while you are working with your best practices, okay, so in our Salesforce, we don't have an assistant, right? What is assistant? For example, you all might be, somebody might be a developer, somebody might be an admin, somebody might be an architect or a manager in their company, right? So you might be having a situation where somebody comes in and asks, review my code, right? So sometimes if the person is having time, if the manager is having time, he can give that time to understand it. But if he is having several calls, it becomes very difficult for him to understand whether the best practices are good or right. So similarly, there are similar kind of best practices which needs to be even followed upon in flows, okay? Because flows are actually said to be the alternative to triggers, so your flows also has this feature. Now flows have been actually added with the new feature and tips called as guardrails, which will be available as a part of your flow. So whenever you will be using the loop elements, or when you will try to navigate and iterate over records multiple times, it will start giving you suggestions that using multiple loops can degrade the performance or even can hit the governor limits. It will start giving this kind of output. So let's see this how it actually looks like. So for example, I will go back to my my flow builder, and let me go back again. I will start it right from the scratch. So I come to my flows, I go to new flow, and I start it from scratch. So as I go over it, I bring in the record triggered flow. For example, I take the account object. Okay, and now in the account object, I have taken it. I want to add some details, right? So what I will do is I will try to play around with it, add some details. So for example, I go with a loop. As soon as I go with a loop, you see the tips section comes up. See, it starts giving you tips right from the beginning, that to close the open loop, connect the last element in the loop back to this particular loop element. So now this actually is a kind of best practices as well as a kind of your simple syntax changes which will be needed to understand your flow, right? So now building your flow becomes a little bit liberal with this new features being involved, right? So now you don't need to actually sit and understand the entire flow. You will be getting tips like your service assistant, which will be completely explaining you how your flow is going in. Okay, that is actually one of the best features which has actually came in as a part of your flow. Okay, this improves your productivity a lot because this will help you to understand and debug your flows quite easily, and your tips will be helping you to understand how your basic flow is going in what direction. Now coming back to the next one, upsorting records and collections. So let me talk of a use case again over here. Okay, so earlier what used to happen is, if I have to take a selection of records, okay, right from my variable and utilize it, okay, what used to happen is used to have introduced a new extra loop to collect those records into a particular local variable, right? So now that particular records was never actually a part of the entire syntax, and what you had to do is you had to write down an extra loop, iterate over that loop, create your local variable, add the values to that element, and then utilize it. But now, with the help of your create records function, there they have given you the multiple features, the multiple feature which is available for your records to be collected, which allows you to select multiple records, and also allows you selecting the creation based on the record variable which you are selecting. So your record variable, if it has got a n number of records, directly if you use this multiple check a radio button, what it will do is it will not ask you to create the loop again. It will directly take that particular variable and it as a loop. So that what happens is your important pages, for example, I have just taken an sample example that if I have got a list of contacts with some updated information and I want to merge its data, okay, with the existing contact records, what I will have to do, I can directly utilize this multiple radio button available, using which, right, without actually using the multiple for loops, I will just add all the collection to a variable and use this multiple radio button and utilize to dynamically update my contact records. That actually makes my upserts and my collections even more functional and even more fast when I actually work with my flows. This improves the functions of the flows. This also improves the flows line of so the lines which it is actually querying over, and the loops which you are involving, right? So this will improve the productivity of your flows as well. So you'll be seeing your flow running much faster in case of these kind of features being introduced. So everybody clear so far on the flows, even before I move towards the report section, the last part which I go in? Okay, so one question I actually read is so from Arjun is that what is the proper use case? The proper use case is, as I said, so as of now, if you are having your a particular kind of stage being completed, how do we actually express uh, your eagerness towards how the step has been? Okay, I can add emojis towards it to make it more productive. So earlier, what used to happen is we used to have features in that way, is that we used to create a formula field separately. That formula field needs to be used as a part of a text field, or a formula field separately, which will be calling that static resource image, which will be showed into the screen. Now I can create my own rule sets, my own conditions, based upon which the business can show their sentiments quickly. So I have actually taken a very basic use case. Think of this kind of use case, that I have got my business where I have got lot of insurance and the sales agents are going from one place to another, multiple, right? So multiple places to they go into. So what they will understand is, so how do we understand how productive the sales agents has been over multiple places? So we can get that feedback based on that status field, if that is having a rule set, which will actually allow me to understand how the leads have been progressing, how the sales agents have been progressing on those particular sales which they are performing in that particular area. That is a kind of sentiment which is being added upon. Make sense? Anybody has any questions? We'll just go through the list if I have anything over here. So I see, no, I don't see any other questions. Yeah. So anybody has any other questions? Yes, I will be, Anasuya, at the end of the session. Just wait for the slides. You will be seeing the link for both, for your trailhead sessions, and I will also guide you for the pre-release org. So Suman, these features are actually already in the process of release, and by the second week of October, you will be able to see it in your orgs. And if you want to actually want to have them viewed as a part of your pre-release only, so we have the option of a pre-release org. So I will actually help you all to work with pre-release orgs as well. Yeah. So Anurag, you have a question? Yeah, you can ask that question. So okay, so you want to show the account records that I follow using the follow button. Okay, okay. So what you will have to do, you will have to actually go for a kind of logic which has to be written on the feed item, right? So there is a feed item object. So yes, you will. So you can. What is the question exactly? Let me see. So you want to show the account records that I follow based on the using the follow button. This will be available. So you will have to write a custom logic for that, Anurag. What you will have to do is, okay, in your custom, okay, you will have to write here, for example, on your feed item, and then you can count the basic records, the account records which are coming in. Okay. So you can actually write down a custom logic to achieve that. As of now, if you want to see the list of followers as a part of your chatter license, the user who has already followed, they are actually available to them for communications and as a part of their list in the left hand side if you are using the chatter license. What is that which will be available in the so these features are already available in the trial version. Okay. So in the trial version, okay, in the trial version, that org which I am talking of, you will be able to create your own orgs, play around with them. Okay. I will try to go towards the last two slides to cover up. Okay, and then I will try moving. Yeah, so Anurag, you can just let me know. So basically, you can directly write down a trigger on the feed item object, or even if you are using the chatter license, you will be able to see your followers list there also. Okay, so whoever follow you, you will be able to see it. Yes, in all our developer edition also, you will be getting these releases. These releases are expected to be there by the second week of October to all the developer orgs as well. Okay, so now moving forward, I will move towards the reports. So reports are also the last section which we actually talk about anytime when we talk about a sales process, right? So reports should be also very, very effective. So what they have done is, you see this icon. Whenever you see this particular icon at the end of any text, you can understand that they are trying to bring in Einstein over it. So now you have got the option of your Einstein based orgs, in which you will be able to create formulas using Einstein. Okay. So now, if you the same thing which were happening in your formulas in editors, in your flows, you will be able to do the same using the create formula button in the reports as well. Okay, where you will be able to add your formulas. This can, and then you will be having the option in your columns as well, where you will be able to add your summary formulas and row level formula. So now let's understand this in very quick terms. So if I talk about reports, we know reports are of four types, right? So we have got the tabular one, we have got the summary, the matrix, and the joint. So basically your summary one is basically you're grouping it by rows. The columns comes into picture when you are using your matrix level reports, that is like it will be grouped by both rows and columns. And then a joint report when you're multiple joining multiple reports at a time. So now you will be able to add your summary formulas, your row level formulas as a part of your columns when you will be using the Einstein in your reports. So basically where it will get added, so I am not seeing it in my current org. This will be actually coming in when you are having your latest org released, where when you go into your reports, if I go to my report, and I try editing my report. So if you see this section, this column has got this two types of action available as of now, right? So if I see, I have got a summary formula, I have got a bucket column, a row level formula. So this add summary formula, row level formula will now get added as a part of your Einstein as well, along with your Einstein license. along with that Along with that, when you are working with your formulas, or even if you are working with your fields, here also while you are creating a formula, you will be seeing the Einstein available to you. So your Einstein will help you out to build out your formulas effectively. And at the same time, when you go over to your formulas or filters where you have got the columns, you will be able to see them as a part of your Einstein release, where you will be seeing the summary formula and the row level formula. So this actually improves the productivity of your reports as well, because while building a formula, building up any kind of predictions which you need, you can directly ask the Einstein assistant to work over it, right? Then last but not the least, I will also talk of another important part, okay, which is basically called as the enhanced custom report types. Okay, so I will talk about this enhanced custom report types. If you are going into your report and dashboards user interface setting, you will be seeing this particular section on the screen saying enhanced custom report type setup page in beta version. Okay, it is in beta version. So whenever I want to play around with my reports, okay, and I want to give them a very different look and feel, I can actually use this enhanced custom report setup. What it exactly does is it actually builds a very useful interface when you are going with your report type. This is the lookup which will come. Okay, as of now, if you have seen your current orgs, okay, if you go to your custom report types and if you do edit layout, you have already seen the kind of interface it has. And now this is a different interface where you can drag and drop fields, search the fields, and add it quickly. So let's see that live in action. So what I will try to do is I will show you first in the old org how it looks like. So let's go to the old org, and let me quickly try to go into custom report types. So basically I will have to type report. So I go to report types. So this is actually useful whenever you are trying to build up your new kind of connections between multiple objects together in a particular view. You come over to your custom report types. So when you go over to your custom report types, okay, and any specific custom report type which you have, okay, this is the view which looks like. And if you have to do edit layout, you want to add some fields to it, when you click on this is the interface which comes in front of you, right? So you have got an interface where you will have to drag and drop the fields, search the fields from here, drag it and drop it, right? Drag it and drop it, drag and remove it. That is how it actually works, right? So what I will have to do now, this is how the old view used to look like. Okay, and I didn't have this custom report setting available as a part of my old org. Now let's go into the new org. So here also I will try again going to the setup. I will try to go into report types, and I will go to the reports and dashboard settings first of all, and I see the enhanced custom report type page setup available, right? So if I click this, it will allow me to have my reports in the best way, in the view of the rich text. So let's try enabling this and see how it looks like now. So I will try to save this. Now I will go to report types. I will try to go into new, and I will try to go with any particular page layout, and I will try to see how the edit layout looks like. So let's see whether it actually helps me with the new interface. No, it doesn't, because it has not refreshed, I guess. I will have to refresh the browser to check it. Let's see. It has not yet given me here. What might be the reason? Sorry, my page is blocked. Wait, I think so. Let me try to refresh my browser, and let me try to go for my report types. I do a new report type. I say I go into this report type. So now you see the rich report type view has came in. Okay, the rich report type view comes in. When I do continue, now I have got the option of new custom report types with a new look and feel. And even if I go inside it, I have shown the relationship in a very rich format. And if I do edit layout, see how the edit layout looks like. The entire drag and drop interface was now removed, and you can easily search for your fields and remove it quickly, right? So I can remove it, and I can even add it. So both ways, it is a drag and drop and as well as search feature available as a part of your custom report type. So now what happens is the entire productivity of your report types also increases. Just you can see the difference here itself, right? So if I go into this old org and I go into my report types, this was the report type which we were seeing. This was the view which we were seeing, and this is how it used to look like, right? And when I used to do edit layout, the edit layout was very old with this kind of a look and feel, which now got replaced with this new interface of custom report types, which actually makes you very comfortable to work with this drag and drop interface to add your fields quickly to the page layout, create out a new section, add your look of fields, and play around with them. So that is how your custom report types also adds productivity to your page, and it improves your features. Okay, this is one of the last features which I was talking of. Okay, and then I will try to go back, and this is the last slide for which you all were waiting for. So if you all want to actually have your own org created where you can actually play around with these features which we discussed today, you can actually do a sign up from this particular link. Okay, or if you want to go to the specific trailhead module, you can even do that with the particular second link which is provided. So you can directly use these two links to play around. So I will actually pass these two links as a part of your chat also, so that you all can actually have it and utilize it. So this is one, and the other one is for the module. So yours, okay, so let's see. So I will try to come back to the questions one more time. So I shared these two links. These two links are basically for your basic use case of whenever you are trying to work around with your uh, pre-release org. So you can sign up for a pre-release org. Okay, when you do a sign up, it will actually allow you to create an org for you, and from that org you can play around with these new features which have been introduced. Okay, and then you can also add okay, and then the other one is the trailhead module, from where you can actually work on with the new releases which have been released. You can have an understanding there as well. Okay, now I will come over to the questions. So I am open to questions for everybody. So I will try to first come up with Anurag's question. So what's the difference between highlight panel in the page layout and the compact layout? See, first of all, understand what your page layout and compact layout does, right? So page layout is basically the descriptive information of the page, right? So whatever the details you want to view upon. But but the compact layout was basically introduced for you. For example, you have a record and you quickly go into that particular record. So for example, let me go into a particular record here. So let me go to the accounts itself. So if I want to view some details of my account, I can have a visualization of those data with a compact layout. What the compact layout does is it will add a small box on the right hand side for you for the important information which you want to view upon. That is what your compact layout is. Page layout is the descriptive information. Okay. Whereas when you talk about highlight panel is basically the panel which is available in the top, right? So when I go into my record, okay, and I have a particular panel, this panel is called as the highlight panel. This is for adding some important fields. So the user or the business is never interested. Sometimes business is interested to only see some important fields as a part of their page layout, okay, without navigating to the details. So now consider I have got 500 fields on my account record. I am not going to sit and read all those 500 records by scrolling down, right? What I can do is I can keep some of the important fields as a part of this highlight panel itself, as well as some of the actions also I can make available as a part of the highlight panel. So this highlight panel is the standard highlight panel which was given before. But now when you upgrade to dynamic forms, you have got a dynamic highlight panel. So the dynamic highlight panel will allow you to even add up to 12 fields to the dynamic highlights panel section, and it can also add your buttons dynamically, has got the ability to add conditional formatting, as well as it has got the ability to add conditional visibility. So now you don't need to actually use that standard highlight panel. You can directly use the new one which can give more flexibility. So does that clear your question, Anurag? So you have added 4 fields in the highlight panel on the page layout, but it's not showing in the UI. So it might not be reflecting because it might not have saved. Okay, so you can actually, or it might not have been activated. So you can actually utilize your highlights panel. When you save it, you will have to save and then you will have to activate. Once you activate, what will happen is it will ask that whether you want to assign it to the specific profile or a particular user, or you want to make it org default. So for now in the developer, or I went with org default, else you can directly gift it for the specific profiles. That way it will make you available. Okay. Then coming over for your other question, that can you talk about deploying things to take care while deploying from pre-release sandbox to production between the release? Very good question, and I will all tell you the basic way to do it. You will always have to understand your org, okay, and that is where your impact analysis comes in. What we basically do as a part of our org releases is we try to bring up a basic impact document, okay, which is basically on the environment which is working, and we try to play around with those admin features. For example, developers will look into the developer features, admin will look into the admin features which has been newly brought in. Now for example, LWC enhancement, or for example a page layout getting affected, or for example a particular view were getting impacted. Okay, so if those kind of scenarios comes in, we document that into the document, and then we try to make sure it remains the same when it is deployed to the when the release is completed. So as soon as the release happens, you are notified. So the production team gets notified with a mail: newest release has been now upgraded to your production or environment or your sandbox. So now you have to go into that sandbox, and you have to see whether it has impacted something based on your impact document which you created. Okay, so basically the time frame between your upgrade from your sandbox to production is actually a timeline of around 1 month. So you get around 1 month of time to understand what all changes are coming in. You can actually understand them, you can grab them, and then you can based on that you can allow it to get deployed. Yes, so see, you can actually you sign up for your so email. So understand one thing, okay? Email can be multiple times the same for multiple orgs. It doesn't matter. Only the username changes, right? Username is always unique. So when you will register for a new org, you will get a new username, and you will get a trial org will be for 30 days for your assistance purpose, right? So you can actually use it for 30 days, but although your current organization or your current org which you are using with the same email is also useful, so you can utilize it that way as well. Make sense? Okay, I think I am done with all my parts. I think the session was helpful to you all. You all got an idea of the new releases coming in, and did you like the session?
Thank you, Nikhil bro. Thank you for the informative session. It is very useful for our trial buses. Thank you.
Sure, definitely. So I actually loved with you all to to me patiently. Looking for all your instances. Wherever you want to have any questions, you can definitely follow me out on LinkedIn as well. I am always there to answer whatever possibilities from my end. Okay, and with the new releases, whatever you explore upon, if you are finding some new features to use upon, that can be also displayed on LinkedIn. Whatever you learned from the session. Okay. Thanks to John. So you actually gave me this option to again get interacted with so many people today. So thanks for this opportunity, John.
Thank you, Nikhil bro. You gave
Sure,
your time. Thank you for the informative session. Thank you, and thank
sure.
you
Thank
everyone.
you.
Thanks for joining.
Sure. So thank you, sir.